All right, so first, this is kind of the problem because this guy's walking through the field, right? The light intensity is going up and down, time of day is changing, moving around. I think he speeds up in a minute, doesn't he? Now we see a cloud come in, everything. So the conditions are changing. And when you look at it, I'm going to pause it here for the next screen. All you're doing, if you interpret the data now, just as one guy going through and say taking 4 measurements of each plant, all you're doing is statistically determining that this measurement was taken earlier in the day with lower light density than that last one that he's at now, which is later in the day and it's higher light density. So that's what we need to try to, one of the main things we need to try to get over, to overcome. And he's off. Okay. Skip.
He's all excited to look at his data.
He is.
He's like, oh man, I just spent the whole day looking at that data, and he's going to go home and like,
and he's going to be like, hey, look, it was cloudy. Yeah, and when because those partially cloudy days are by far the worst days. So one way that we attempt to deal with that is, it doesn't always have to be a robot, it can be a person, is to have multiple people out in the field at the same time who are kind of walking in the same direction, what we kind of call staggered start. Where I go through and I start here and I go through and I collect a measurement, and then somebody else goes through and they start at a different point, and then they'll come around and do the measurement that I feel like it is. So at the end of the day, depending on how big the experiment is, whatever, here, let me phrase it before he gets going. So that at the end of the day, now we've collected that from that individual plot in the field or for that individual tree or whatever it is at multiple times throughout the day. Maybe with multiple users, which helps us account for user bias. One person says, I always go for the greenest leaf. And the next user says, I always go for that leaf that looks like it's dying. So you have multiple people collecting measurements on that plant. That helps you account for that bias. If there is to device variation, hopefully with these new devices, that variation will be a lot lower than the old. But then we're also catching it multiple times throughout the day, multiple light intensities throughout the day. And if you have a small experiment, it might be a matter of one person walks through the field once, and then goes and does it again, and then goes and does it again. Even though it's easier just to stand there and say, I'm going to do all 3 measurements right now. You have to kind of tell yourself, if I do that, I'm wasting my time. If I add a little bit of time to walk through the field a couple times, it's better. And the last real brief example with our guy is, which way should he walk through the field? If you've got different treatments, whatever they are, maybe they're varieties, maybe they're soil management, maybe they're fertilizer treatments, so it doesn't matter, whatever it is. Which way should he walk through this field?
Cross.
Cross? You mean this way?
Yeah.
That sound right?
As long as you walk the opposite direction on the next one.
Oh, well, let's see what he does.
as if this guy knows what he's doing.
He's wearing a lab coat. In the field.
Good point.
I wear a lab coat when I go cleaning at home.
Okay.
They're handy.
Now it's no longer good. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, that's the other idea, is to make sure that you're hitting all of these treatments so you don't make the same mistake where say, oh, I did all of one treatment in the morning, all of the next treatment in the afternoon. Anyway, we need to add some dialogue there instead of me narrating. But I think we should be done talking. So you guys, you want to split up into like 4 or 5 groups and start, like pick maybe one of your guys who has an experiment to kind of go through the process of designing
who has an
it.
experiment they would like to sit down and work on? Or would like to at least think through. Because I mean, that's the thing, not everybody here has to design an experiment today, but if we can get like 3 or 4 people get into groups where one person's like, okay, help me, let's think about this experiment, what are my conditions? So getting that, that's always game. Who else we got?
Anybody else? Nobody else has anything
You want
interesting?
to try? Awesome. Anybody else? Please get one more and then we can split up into groups. No?
One more?
Yeah.
You have to start nominating people.
Do something against the algae.
You got an algae one? Chris with algae?
Well, I mean, I just always have a bunch of algae.
Alright.
Easy things I can do to mess with them.
Yeah, no, let's do that. Chris will do one as well. So then just like separate out a little so that we have some room and.
You're discussing some algae making.
Yeah, I join you.
Sure. What kind of algae?
I don't know what I have growing at the
So
moment.
a couple people here and a couple people here and a couple people with Chris. So just trees, yes.
Yeah, I've got a tray one.
Unless you want to do, I don't know if you want to do, the only big
Yeah, you can make one. Yeah, I should do that.
Or they gotta sit down and work through the design. Yeah. And we'll come around.
So we can just start like.
That's possible. We can do anything. I mean, I'll be glad to sit down and talk to you. It might be good. If you would set up. We can definitely get that in the agenda.
So each one of the reservoir comes up with different.
We are making progress technically. Not just for
So here's this tree that I've been working on for the last year. So that's
So I have
in
a
October 2015 and then October.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, well, look, I'll show you what they did to it.
Are different. And
Right?
then I have 16.
Which is way over.
It could be two, right? But that's
So
the
they built the building right next to it. They chopped all these roots off. It leans that way. Chopped all these roots off around here, like big,
Oh my god.
big structural
I mean,
roots.
it's kind of like this up there.
People come in.
Oh, tomorrow? I don't know, I'm asking for the leave if people want to analyze data, in which case I can get a whole lot.
And if I don't, so he's like 8:30 unless they want to come in. What? I feel like they should be like
Inside of.
So I would say 8:30.
So, all under place.
But he can't get into the building. He wants something.
60 measurements.
The bloody tailgaters would love it.
Yeah.
Are you gonna, so else you're gonna provide science for you?
Yes, I'm on May 11th.
Or I can leave. Because I don't mind, I just want.
But you're gonna bring like raisins and
I'll
nuts.
be in the greenhouse.
Yes, there'll be bananas and other things.
But I should be able to control for that.
Everyone will be welcome.
I would let you know what time I will be here tomorrow.
Let's see what,
Slack you or something.
for sure, I'll be here by 8. If you could just be here with your cameras.
And then it becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? It's right next to the tree.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm excited because it's gonna
Basically, just build the building next to the tree and just screwed it up and it started dying. They pruned it near the building. It had aphids. It ended up getting black sooty mold. Anyway, so that's the tree.
worried.
And then we did treatments. We measured the soil chemistry, the soil biology, and the compaction and all that sort of stuff. And it improved. Like it is improving now. Like this is still early, new spring growth, but you can tell that the canopy density is about to just. It's already denser than it was when we started. So it's improved in health. The soil has improved in health. The CO2 data reflects that as well. And yeah, this is what I'm trying to sort of.
Designed by yourself or you?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's like, it's like an existing design.
So yeah, basically we see soil chemistry on the trees. And we've taken soil chemistry data, soil biology data. The tree is improving in health.
Presents their
And
design. Unless everyone's going to do it earlier.
You'll probably be
minutes and then we'll do the
Well, so the question should make the project.
You don't need to make the project. It's more just an idea of just, I mean, you can do it, but I think it's more of thinking of how to do it, how to deal with the issues, that affect the quality and
Let's take your example.
get people to participate.
You want to see what the course.
I want to get people thinking in short.
3 years, yeah. Well, every year.
That's in the
we'll
lab.
see if the trees improve.
It's not in the greenhouse.
But you want to know.
But that's the
Pre-treatment.
design, essentially. So I'd have 6 of these trays. What do I have? Probably.
And then we want to be able to extrapolate that back.
But I can actually end up getting probably
Be able to
30
look at aquatics canaries in the future
and
and be
then
able to say.
underneath
these are
this is a
parameters
reservoir
and
that just pumps some fluid.
It's going to take this much work to try and fix it.
Drains out. That's brassica. Oh, they're growing in clay balls called yeah,
really
they're about
important
this
tree.
big.
They know they killed it, so it's like,
What tree is this one?
I'll show you.
It's better to get root mass. Root mass.
So when they bring you in, how long do you have before you can?
2015, 2016. So that's just in one. That's just between one growing season.
Okay.
And they built a building around here basically, and
So how long, so when they call you in and they say, okay, do something, how many measurements can you take before you apply the treatment? Is it like a week, or do you have like a year?
oh well, see that this one here, we so we've done the report in October, and then I haven't got started doing the jobs until January.
But you already did the treatment at this point.
That's the first day of treatments, but the photo was taken on the day that I do the inspection.
Got it, okay.
So sometimes I'll do an inspection and I collect all the soil, all the data, the soil information data, write a report, tell them what we're going to do, and then they sit on it for a while. Sometimes they sit on it for a year.
So, okay.
The track,
Alright, and then-
the press parts help the water flow.
Okay, sorry. So the question is, when they ask you to do a project, how much time do they give you?
So it's just.
I understand that, how
Yeah.
can you establish
Yeah, what is the?
It's as much as it takes. Our job is to save a tree from dying, improve a tree's health, increase its useful life expectancy.
Right now, there's, I think.
So we don't have time frames. Our whole thing is don't let the tree die.
And the
basically.
treatments are experimental treatments, or are they known to work in some capacity already?
Yeah, well, we've been doing this for years.
Yeah, okay.
So we do compost treatments and compost seed treatments and liquid microbial foods, and we mulch them and we water them sometimes in summer when it gets really hot.
Okay. So these are all. So this one tree will get multiple kinds of treatments.
Yeah. And monitoring. So we'll monitor soil moisture through summer to see if it needs watering, and then we'll trigger a watering application. So we do whatever needs to be done.
And your expectation for a change in the tree is within a year of treatment?
Yeah, well, yep. Sometimes I get a little concerned because we work on some trees that are just they're dying.
Right.
They are dying, and we're not. And see, this is what my question was before: is when is a tree dying?
Right.
Can photosync allow us to see the triggers for certain genus and species trees to know whether they are dying, whether they need rapid intervention, whether it's not even worth spending money on
That's
intervention?
right.
That is a good practical application for photosync. You could go down here and say, oh, all these trees are fine. Or you could go down here and say, wow, half of them need rapid intervention, and you wouldn't even be able to visually see that.
Well,
See, we couldn't visually see this tree was improving. Last year, we had a meeting about this tree. So we had a meeting about this tree in, I think it was March, and the council were not far off going, well, we think it's, well, they were worried it was going to fall over.
It looks like it.
Yeah, and because there's and there's a lot of people and cars parked under there continually, so that was really highly. And then when we talked about the data, see, this was interesting here. I couldn't, when I was showing them the data that I didn't really even fully understand. We didn't cut that bit out too. So I was trying to explain.
Blackmail material right there.
It's a process of learning.
You better mark the time number, because I'm not going to walk back through all this video.
But there was, some of it was just I couldn't explain it. It looked like it was SPAD. That was SPAD. I think SPAD was one of them. Like SPAD, like it was cruising along, and then it went whoa.
Well, what time of, wait,
But that's
isn't
fall,
June
right?
your winter, right? June's your winter.
No, March, April now is still growing season. Our seasons are changing. Our seasons are not like we're.
So when would you expect senescence to happen?
By May, June. Yep.
Okay, so it seemed like that was too early. Basically.
Yeah. And I think I've got the feeling what happened is that the tree's gone. The tree has picked up on all of the microbial, because the microbes are interacting in the rhizosphere. We got a huge amount of mushroom growth and stuff this year. There was a lot of microbial activity. We measured that microbial activity. I reckon the tree picked up on it and converted a heap of energy for this season. That's what I sort of, and I think that's what I'd like to keep sort of proving that's what happens. Because at the moment, that's just my theory.
And there's no, are you sure, okay, my first thought on anything that looks like a trend is like, are you positive this isn't sampling bias? Like, are you positive this isn't, it's so easy to have some kind of sampling bias, or like, are you choosing the same leaves from the same, you know what I mean? Are you sampling in a random way? Or like,
I sample I sample wherever I can reach the trees, unless the job has stated that they'll give me an elevating work platform.
Sure, yeah.
This job hasn't. This job is where I can reach. So and it is literally in 1 over the back, 3, 4, and there's a fifth. There's 2 spots over here, and a spot over there, and a spot there.
Basically the same spot.
Basically the same spot. But look at the tree. Like, you can't tell me that it's not improved within that year. Sure.
Maybe it's the last hurrah before it falls. No, I'm kidding.
No, but you say that, but it's true. Trees do that.
Yeah.
They do
That's
the
when they
last
flower.
hurrah.
That's when they do a massive
flower. Absolutely.
Yeah. But
No, I mean
that's not happening, because there's new root extension. It's like 2 inches long. Like the tree is responding to its environment. Definitely, the leaf size this year is bigger than last year. We don't have the insect at the moment. The amount of insect, I don't know, that's anecdotal, but it seems but the tree is definitely improved. It's definitely gotten denser.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts. So one, there's the counter positive, right? So you have let's say you have 1 year, which is, your before and after. The problem, and you could say, well, it got better, except you don't know what the counter positive was if you had done nothing. And the closest thing you can get to a counter positive is to have the year before.
Yep.
But you can't get the year before, right? So you're like in this pickle where no matter what you do, you can't prove it, because you really only through repeated experience could you over time prove it. Because
That's my plan.
That's what you have.
That's my plan with photosync. Over time, I will prove what I'm doing. I don't need to. I'm not scientists like you guys. I don't need to prove my hypothesis sort of before.
Right. You just have to make it better.
Yes, that's my job.
But you also have to make sure that the ones which you can't make better, you can tell them I can't make it better. Which was your point about, is this tree just going to die?
Yeah.
So how many of these trees do you have? How many can you measure of that species?
Intensively, we've got this one, 1, 2, 3,
So not many.
4. No, yeah, like we don't have hundreds. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we've got about
Like a
at the
handful.
moment, off the top of my head, I think we've got about 10 intensive ones that will go for the next 3 years.
Yeah. And so you can take data on those 10 trees and they vary in health.
Yes.
And so you can take whatever, any number. I mean, you have to decide how much data you want to take on
Well, I
each
take
tree.
photosync data every time I go there and do an application.
Yeah.
And that's these high intensity trees that we've got at the moment are weekly applications. So I am taking weekly samples, except while I'm over here for 2 weeks.
So you're taking photosync data and then you're also taking other.
I'm taking
like
20
leaf
samples
size,
every week
whatever.
for the treatment periods for in the growing season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, 20 samples per tree. Is that
Per
right?
week.
Per week.
And so that's your replication is having more trees. You don't need 10 years, you need 10 trees in 1 year.
Okay, but if
You
you
have to have good trees and bad trees.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
but if you're gonna do that, you have to have good, exactly. So you need 10 trees that you're not treating. I mean, we're just talking ideal here, right? Let's start with
It's a
ideal.
control.
Right, you need 10 trees that you're not treating,
Okay.
and then you need 10 trees which you are treating, because then you know in this, like, this is my question, right? Last year it was rainy and this year it was hot.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is that's way more impactful than anything else you can do. The weather outside, potentially.
Okay, so how many, if I just keep going the way I'm going, how long before statistically it is relevant? It's never going to be, is it? The science is never going to be. Okay, right,
Yeah, it's the number.
Because a lot of arborists will be happy with that. They'd be like, yeah, that's cool, yeah.
Unless you got a bunch of different species that do the same thing too.
Right, because there'll be some predictive value even cross species, but it's only partial, right? I mean, if you show that every other tree got worse this year because it was a drought year, and you can explain that, but your tree got better, then you could pretty convincingly
Why
say,
don't you
okay,
pick the same species of tree next to every tree you have as
yes,
your
as you
other?
control.
That's what you can't do in urban environments. We are never going to have that same tree with
Oh, no,
that
no.
same impact.
No, this species, a species that's in the
Yeah,
same
different
neighborhood,
species.
a different species, sorry. A different species that's kind of common that can be like your indicator across, across locations.
You know what, honestly, even especially,
You can get statistically significant data with those. Maybe if you did
So I
like
just
5
have,
trees per
so I
site.
just have one
That's a good
tree
idea.
that I measure weekly for the next 3 years.
Yeah, the same one in the same neighborhood, right? So you know
Same
the locate like
Okay.
kind of.
Yeah, I could do that. I
and
could
you
do
can
that.
you can try to choose a tree that has a similar where the leaves are coming out at a similar time and they're senescing at a similar time too. That would be a good idea. You don't want something that's going to senesce 2 months before your leaf.
What I'm mainly after with you guys is
You don't like what we're telling you.
no, that's cool.
I think actually it's a
But
really good idea.
what do I look at?
Yeah.
What data do I look at?
Right.
There's so much data.
We need AI.
That's mine. I mean, I think if you structured it, let's imagine you did, right? Let's imagine for you had a set of trees which were your treatment, and you had a set of trees which were your control, and you had your, year 1, and you had your year 2. That's pretty straightforward. I mean, at that point, you could almost take averages. Because in year 1 and year 2, you're going to get the same trends over time, just like you have now, And then you kind of structure it in a way where it's pretty easy to look at the data. But if you don't have this set up, you can't see anything. But this really, I think your suggestions are really
that's to design an experiment. But what parameters what do I need to be focused on to understand what's happening with the tree? Is it if it's improving in health? I'm looking at. So I'm looking at Phi and PQ over Phi 2.
Yeah, I can suggest a couple.
Yep, and then SPAD's a simple, easy
That's
one.
an easy one.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, if your tree started out like this, and ended up like where you had this, where you were sort of off center, Phi 2 and Phi PQ, and it ended up like this.
Yep.
Where sort of healthy trees should be. That should.
Because that's what's happening here, isn't it?
Yeah, like you've got points down here that are.
They're all
off
old
the range.
points.
Right.
That's all 2015. What's that? Yeah, December. Yeah, it's December. That's early. That's December. That's December.
But what you really want is same time periods. If you just, because you actually control this, right? We can't control light intensity, so you have to take lots of data, but you can control when you go out. See, it addresses a lot of, going out and taking those 2 trees at the same time addresses a lot of issues. It really does.
May I ask a question? So, we've had people do similar species analysis, but they're definitely different ages, and they collect the data all at the same time in an hour and a half time period, actually. And our students have wanted to make claims about age differences. Yet even though they're different species, we tend to say, I don't know if you can really say that, because they are actually 2 different species, and so they may respond differently. So, but using this as an analogy, could we still say that?
I still say you have a species issue. I mean, because you don't know. I mean, if we're trying to use photosync to look at differences between different varieties of potatoes, I mean, you're talking about different species of trees. I mean, for sure, they're going to be different.
Right, well that's right, and so I've told students, you can't necessarily say there's differences in ages, you can say there's differences between those 2 species, right, but you can't stretch it to the age.
Yeah.
But
But
you want to say age.
you actually can't say either of those things. You can say either age or species or some other factor which is different between these 2 trees.
So, I mean, if the bottom I mean, your experiment is you want to test your compost, the efficacy of your compost.
No.
the
No,
treatments?
actually, no. Yes. Yeah.
Whatever
So
your
I
treatment
want to
is.
say my whole thing is only healthy trees go from healthy soil. I want to prove that trees respond to the health of the soil.
Right.
That's the main.
And so-
and then there's all these other added benefits with photosynth that I think will come about. Like, I think that we're going to be able to understand microclimate and urban heat island effect more effectively. Like we'll eventually start to know, what species of trees produce a better microclimate and reduce the urban heat island effect more effectively. How many of a certain species of trees, say you need 10 of a certain genus before they start providing a microclimate. 9 don't do it, but 10 do, and 20 do it more effectively. Sort of so on. So I think that, and then same species of trees. I think if you've got over time, if you've got other people doing this all over the place, then I can pinch. Not pinch, that's not the right word, but I can sort of look at a tree and say, this is what the data set that I'm seeing in this tree, have a look at what everyone else is measuring Quercus canariensis at, and then say, okay, this tree's worth working on, or I know that this tree is about to respond this way. I think that's this benefit in that with photosynth.
Actually, your point about tree comparison, it even helps you, especially, and almost even more than with photosynthesis, with your smell measurements, because the CO2 effect is super dependent on temperature and on moisture. And so again, as long as you're doing it at the same time of day, your tube.
Well, that's not going to be perfectly the same time.
Within an hour or something.
I agree, it is a proxy. I mean, you cannot, unless it's the same species that wasn't treated. But I think there might be something that we can get out of it. I mean, it will never be a perfect control. You cannot have a perfect control for it.
But all you're trying to ask is, we know all trees do better we know all trees do worse with drought, right? And worse with excessive heat, right? So that's a reasonable assumption to make between any two trees. And those are the things that are going to primarily drive changes year to year. And if you can account for those two things, you get a lot of variation out of the way.
Yeah, that's true, because what you are trying to say is that your method is helping this tree, and then so if it didn't help this tree this year, but everybody else was doing badly.
Everybody else did worse. Yours did a little not as bad
even
as
if
worse.
yours, something like that.
My industry establishes what the health of the tree is on a vision tree assessment, which is human interpretation based on your knowledge and experience. So it's not scientific at all. So this is way more scientific than just poor, fair.
I know, we're trying to bring you all the way up to the top of the mountain.
What you think your standard is very low here.
No, and I think even this is not significantly more work than you're doing, and it gets you from better than garbage to actually you could show anybody that data and say be pretty confident that it's wrong. I mean, the council people they're not scientists. So I guess maybe if that's who you're convincing, you don't have to worry about that. You just have to show that it was better.
Oh, it's not just about my clients, it's about the industry as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that you have to do over time, right? So for example, next year, you're giving the same treatments and they don't do well. I'm saying it's something that you kind of, the data will tell you, and the tree will tell you over time.
You have a big benefit though in that you are measuring the same part of the same tree over and over again, which you never get that in potatoes. You don't know if you're measuring, sometimes if you have 6 points, but if you have bigger plots, you don't know if you're ever getting even the same leaf, let alone the same plant. So you do have the ability to replicate effectively in each plot. So your data should be pretty tight, which it is. You can see that. So that's a benefit.
So I'm looking. My main things I'm looking SPAD, Phi2 over Phi NPQ, LEF over Phi NPQT.
NPQT. Yeah, that's for identifying outliers. I think these are the two big ones. And I think we should talk to these guys and see what we can see from leaf temperature.
Yeah, well, so
I think that's quite interesting.
so leaf temperature over ambient temperature.
Leaf ambient minus leaf temperature, the difference.
But maybe there's less variations.
So I was confused. I thought that I'd need to know what the ambient air temperature is away from the tree,
I mean, that's the goal.
like out in the sun.
Very high class animation.
Because that's my theory is that trees produce their own microclimates through respiration. So don't I have to know what the ambient temperature is in the sun and then the leaf temperature?
Makes sense.
Yeah, but don't you want to know how, the question we're trying to, well, okay.
I want to prove the benefit of the tree being out there, and you know.
Nah, but that's a different question. What we're trying to ask is, how effectively is this leaf cooling? How open are its stomata? It's not a big question about the tree, it's a question about this leaf.
Yeah.
And if this leaf isn't cooling effectively, that may be an indicator that it's stressed, or that it's not working, or if the stomata are closed, that may be an indication that it's stressed. You know what I mean? That's what you want to know. So you want to know, like, you want to know the temperature right there and the leaf temperature right there. That'll tell you what Now, it'll be biased. If you have a tree with a huge amount of canopy and you're only measuring inside it, all of your leaf temperature information is going to be biased because it's all going to be cooled. That's a separate, that's an issue of...
I think that's kind of what he's pointing to. He's like, what's the environment here with the tree versus no tree?
Right. But isn't that a separate question that we're trying to... Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do.
Trying to understand microclimate.
Yeah, usually between 10.
Well, that you can just measure the ambient temperature.
But at the same time,
You're just going to have a histogram of ambient temperature in all your leaves in your tree, and that's going to tell you what you're
Yeah, but then if we intervene and make the tree, if we make the tree healthier, does that improve the microclimate benefits?
Right, I see.
So then, then you would, so I think you probably need to take the temperature
Yes.
on the side of the building near the tree, I guess, and on the side of the building that doesn't have the tree.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I tell you,
And then you also need the leaf temperature, I guess.
I was telling Dave, my science
You don't even know.
so I
Design
put a
portion
laser
of the-
thermometer
Yeah.
in the sun on a white piece of paper, and then laser thermometer on the leaf.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Or not, you don't even want the leaf, you want the ambient temperature in the canopy.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to say what the gallon there. You want to know what the ambient temperature is under the tree. Is it cool?
Yeah.
And how cool is it relative?
Maybe there's some correlation between leaf temperature.
Yes,
I don't
right.
know.
But I mean, why not measure it directly if you
Yeah,
can?
yeah.
I guess that's my point. So, yeah. You almost could maybe get that from weather data too. I don't know how.
No, it's because it can change around Melbourne. It can change street to street.
Reflectance from the concrete. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the weather stations are not always in the right place as well. So I need to. So what about some of the other stuff that we talked about that seemed interesting too, though, like ECS and
Well, Chris's point was about one. I think he identified something interesting, DH plus and
LEF over par.
LEF.
Yeah.
Can I ask a silly question since I don't really know what all the measurements are reflecting? Do you have a healthy plant where a value that should be predicted to go in a certain way didn't do what it was doing, or the other? Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure.
I'm just no, I'm just wondering, like, would you just pull out data like blindly, for example? No. Okay.
I mean, that was looked at that point and cleaned the data. You never just clean the data point because it doesn't fit with your expectations. You only clean the data point if you know you did something wrong. Like if you shook your hand and you see your hand really shook.
Okay, no, sorry, no, that's not what I meant. I meant after you collected all your data. I don't know, like VH plus, I don't know what that means, but like maybe it's an indicator of like good health or like a healthy plant. But is it possible, let's say, that he collects data and the tree's getting healthier and healthier and somehow there's a correlation that's going down, or like there is?
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
you've already seen that. So collecting the data also helps you understand what these measurements also mean, I guess. So it's not necessary. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you collect you've got like 30 data points that you're collecting. So after 3 years, you could go back and see what correlates with good health, for example. Okay. Yeah.
That's one of the big ideas of the whole system. We actually know very little now and collect so many data. and later, once you figure out certain patterns and behavior, you will be able to kind of find out more and more, like, let's say, back calculating.
Yeah, I mean, the way I describe it is it's a chicken and egg problem, right? You can't answer the question until you have the data. I mean, companies solve this problem, like, if Monsanto had this question, they would solve this problem by, you know, buying the chicken, buying the egg, putting it in a research facility, and then just doing it until they figured it out, and $5 billion later, like, they would sell a black box solution to you, and the world would be no wiser, right? Like, we're trying to do the opposite of that, like having the chicken and the egg be out in the world.
And not all plants are the same. You know, because see, I think what we're, like a lot of the work that's going on, well, I think, is based on annual plants.
Yeah.
So a lot of annual plants, and I'm working with trees, and they're on completely different timelines. Sometimes young trees, sometimes old trees. You know, they're all trees are on completely different timelines to us. They don't live, especially old trees, from year to year. There's something that happens to a tree now, you may not see response in that tree for a few years. And sometimes with trees we don't see. Sometimes you know we're seeing decline in trees in Australia from the drought we had 10 years ago. You know, everyone thinks as soon as the drought finished in Australia, it was like, oh, cool, we don't have to worry about the trees anymore. Well, not the case at all. Yeah.
Bring everything back
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
just a few minutes, and then, I mean, keep going right till 4:30.
No, we're good. No, we're good.